Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro, friends. On today's episode of the podcast, we are encouraging you to head to our show notes so that you can check out the links to the Rural Bushfire Service as well as the Australian Wildlife Funds and help with the raging bushfires that are continuing to sweep across Australia. Also, if you are going to be in New York for Coffee Fest in March, we will be doing the first of our 4 leadership workshops this year in conjunction with Coffee Fest. Head to coffeefest.com/leadership and you can check out the full day workshop that I'll be leading in New York. It'll be happening in New York, New York, Chicago, Anaheim, and then Tacoma, Washington. It's going to be fantastic. So please head there, check it out, and I hope to see you there. Today, in the 5th of a 5-part series on coffee consulting, we are going to look at the final thing that you should be thinking about when it comes to coffee consulting, and that is the outcome of coffee consulting. And that's not just the outcome for the person who's hired the consultant, that's the outcome for the consultant as well. Now, before we get started on that, the one thing I want to touch back on from yesterday was this idea that we spoke about what coffee consulting should cost, but we did that from the perspective of the consultant. And I failed to go into depth at what it should cost you as the person hiring the consultant. I assumed that it would be that it would make sense that applied to both sides. But when I listened back, I realized that actually, Lee, you didn't do a great job of presenting both sides of that. So if you are hiring a consultant, the best advice that I can give you is to first understand what it is that you want to achieve and understand what you can afford to contribute to that. And then go and find the best consultant that you can afford. If you are looking for a consultant that, and this really does lead into what we're going to be talking about today with regards to the outcomes, but if you are looking for somebody that is a consultant that can help you set up a cafe, but more specifically help you set up the supply chain of your cafe. So who's going to be your roaster? Who's going to supply you with bread? Who's going to supply you with pastries? Who's going to supply you with all your vegan goods and things to stock your fridge and all of that? Hiring somebody like me is not going to be the right approach. Hiring somebody that's in another country or another city that has no connection with the people that are in your local area is not going to be the best way to spend your money. I see far too often people hiring consultants just so that they can say, I got to hire X, Y, and Z person, or Z, as you say here in America. It's not worth it because you are penny pinching at the point of starting a business, and you will continue to penny pinch. And the less money that you spend, or the less money that you waste, that's a better way to put it, the more you're able to contribute to the runway that you give yourself from your starting point to the time of profitability and not running out of money. So how much should you spend on a coffee consultant? As much as you can afford to get you the information that you need. Now, there's a blog post up on our website. It's called Should I Be a Coffee Consultant? It's as much for people looking to hire coffee consultants as it is for people looking to become or thinking of becoming a coffee consultant. And the reason is because it deep dives into what a coffee consultant should provide for their clients. It also talks about the fact that I don't want to use the word coffee consultant anymore as an industry. I think we should be getting more specific about what specialization we can offer as a consultant in the coffee industry. So if you're looking to hire somebody as a consultant in the coffee industry, ask them what their specialization is. Now, if they can't tell you, I would tell you don't hire them. They have to be able to outline to you exactly what it is that they can do. And if they can provide you with that information, it will give you clarity as the client what it is that you can expect as an outcome from that person. Now, this leads us into and ties us into what today's episode is about, which is the outcome of coffee consulting. Now, as a client, you are setting the tone of what the consultation looks like, and you can there is a great way to do that, and there is a not so great way to do that. Now, the best way that you can set the tone for a successful relationship with a consultant in the coffee industry or in any industry is by having a very, very clear understanding of what it is you don't know and what it is you need a consultant's help with. A consultant's job is to come in and find out what the problem is and help you fix that with the knowledge, experience, and know-how that they have that you haven't had the time to accumulate. The very important thing that they can bring you is listening to what it is that you are having challenges with and anticipating the blind spots that you don't know are coming. That is the superpower of a consultant. So, by understanding what it is that specifically that you need a consultant for is going to help you know who to hire and have a clear vision of what success looks like if the consultation goes well. And that's whether it's a 1 hour consultation or a month-to-month consultation that goes for 6 to 12 months with a coach. So further to that, if you hire a consultant and they don't anticipate what your blind spots are, you won't feel the ramifications of that right away. Let's say you hire someone for a 1 month consult or a 2 hour consult and they're not adequately equipped to consult for you. What's going to happen is the flow-on effect from that is going to happen in 6 to 12 months when they didn't tell you that, listen, if you don't hire the right people, this is what's going to happen. Or if you don't allocate this money to this budget and spend an extra 50 cents to $1 per hour on your shift lead or whatever it is, this is what you should anticipate happening. And they'll tell you why. So going back to what I was just saying, you need to have a clear understanding of specifically what you need help with. Being ambiguous and saying, I need someone to help me set up my coffee program. Okay, that's a great place to start. But what does that mean exactly? Do you need someone to help you before the bar flow or the fit out has been done? Do you need someone to help you understand where the power outlets are going to go, where you're going to put your espresso machine and where you're going to put your brewing tower and where your Chemexes are going to go or where you're going to store your coffee? Now that's a part of setting up a coffee program. Or do you need someone to help you choose the coffee and choose the suppliers and teach your staff how to brew? That's another part of the coffee program. So saying you just need a coffee consultant can get ambiguous for you as well as for the person that you're going to hire. And if you follow what usually happens and you're a first-time cafe owner or a first-time roastery owner, you'll go to the first or your favorite person that's doing what it is that you are going to hope to do. So typically what happens, people will go and hire their favorite barista and approach them and say, hey, listen, I'm opening up a cafe and I was wondering if you could come and help me set up the coffee program. And as I say in the blog post, usually the response is going to be, hell yeah. And the reason is a couple of things. It feels really great when somebody recognizes that you're good at what you do. It also feels great to get paid a little bit extra because baristas are usually getting quite average money. And so they're going to say yes. They're going to jump at the opportunity. This is how most people start in coffee consulting. I would say to you, it's a big mistake. And unless you know what you're getting yourself in for. But if you do know what you're getting yourself in for, know that this person isn't going to be able to do much more than what they already do. So asking them, who should I use as a roaster, is not going to be a great question. And the reason I say that is because choosing a roaster is about so much more than just what does their coffee taste like. You've got to understand the terms that they offer. You've got to understand what their delivery schedule is. You've got to understand what kind of equipment you can negotiate into that, if any. You've got to be able to understand what their buying philosophy is. Where do they source all their equipment from? All of these things are important to people these days, and it will be important to your staff. As Gen Z starts to come into the workforce, they're going to care about these things. They want to know that you as an owner have gone into the depth of understanding. And so your consultant should know how to do those things. So for you as the client, the best outcome is going to be reaching answers to the clearly defined things that you set out that you need a consultant for. As the consultant, for you, success is having delivered and over-delivered on what it is that the client needs. It also, success is making sure that you get paid. Success is making sure that they are happy after the consulting work is finished. And so you follow up. You find out if everything's okay. Send an email after the job's done if it's completely finished, and make sure that you let them know what kind of service they can expect afterwards. So can they reach out to you and ask you questions? Are you off limits after that? It's courtesy, it's professional courtesy, and that is what success is for you. You've over-delivered on the job, you've gotten paid for the job, and that you have maintained a professional relationship with your clients. I would suggest that in the follow-up, if they are happy, that you ask them for a testimonial on how things have gone. And I would also recommend that if your client feels not happy with the service that you've done, ask them how you can fix it. Ask them how you can correct. Always, I'm a big fan, I've said it many times on this podcast, I'm a big fan of over-delivering. And so if your client feels that they just didn't receive the value that they expected, give them a free session. It's important that your reputation as a consultant in the coffee world is not marred, because your reputation is everything that you have to go on. And that's why I feel, as part of my philosophy for everything that I do in business, is to over-deliver. I don't believe that the customer's always right, but I do believe that that you should do everything that you can to have a happy customer. And so that wraps up this week's series on coffee consulting. If you have any questions, write them in the comments below, or head to our website, mapperforward.org/consulting, and send us your questions there. If you need to be connected to a consultant, we have a vast network of consultants around the world that we can connect you with, no problem. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.